So Virgo, what is your overall vibe for the month? And the vibe is that there is no challenge, okay? You don't have to think about how hard is this going to be because there's no challenge in front of you, okay? So either you're making a mountain out of a molehill or maybe you're a little bit bored because there is no challenge. But what they're saying is to change the way that you think about things. That's the whole point of this month, okay? Let's shift the way our mindset is going. How can we look at things differently? Maybe things aren't as challenging as we thought. Maybe they're easier than we thought. Or like I said, maybe we're making a mountain out of a molehill, okay? So keeping all of that in mind, will you find your pot of gold? And so maybe this is not the month where you do. And it kind of seems that way for all of the earth signs so far, to be honest. This is maybe not the month where you get super rich super quick, but you already knew that, and so this isn't surprising. Maybe it's disappointing to hear it, but like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to tell you the truth. You're like, okay, no big deal. Is there anything you need to be worried about with your finances though? And they say absolutely not. Nothing catastrophic, no big horrible surprise coming out of the blue. So don't fret. All right. Now, are you going to get lucky in love? So if you are single, what they say is, okay, so there's not much to hold on to, as you know, as far as like potential matches that you currently have go or whatever. Maybe you're dating online. It's like, meh, you don't feel super attached to them. But for whatever reason, some of you are super, super focused, as you can see right here. He's super, super this way when it's upright, okay, you can see he's like looking out into the distance. He's seeing what else is out there. But when it's in reverse, he's got his eyeball on what's right there in his hand, okay? So what is it that's in your hand that you're focused on? Is that somebody from the past because we're in the shadow period of a Mercury retrograde? Or is it somebody that, like, they're probably not for us, but they're around, so we're giving them adequate attention? So the next thing that they're saying here is it's like, this is more of a month for lovers and not long-term serious relationships. The vibe for this month might be like, this person's here. I'm going to hold on to them because they're a good lay, but probably not a good long-term outcome. Now, does that somehow inhibit you from finding the right person? And they're like, not really, because you can sort of juggle it with your situation. And so it's not actually a bad thing this month if you want to do that, so long as you can remember not to focus on them coming up in April, May, June, right? Okay. So if you are coupled and you're a Virgo, what I would be worried about is some sneakiness, some deception, some lies. Now, is that you or your other, or your partner? And what they're saying is it doesn't even matter how this plays out because either way, it's unlucky that the person's going to get caught. So you'll know very quickly, is this me? If you're lying, you're being sneaky or deceptive, hey, warning sign, you're going to get caught. If it's not you, well, guess what? You're going to find out. I guess for these kinds of situations, for all Virgos, and remember I said earlier in the beginning of this video, like you probably want to watch this video right here to know how this applies, because love readings are better done when they're moon signs, and that'll explain it all for you. But in this kind of situation, you would probably want to do a personal reading, not necessarily with me if you don't trust me yet. Maybe you're new. But if you do, or do it for yourself, or have somebody else give you a reading to give you clearer insight as to what specifically that is if you're concerned about it, okay? Because for all people, it would be hard to get that information, and it just create more confusion and chaos, as they say here. So anyway, couples, that's what's up. Anything else here? They're just like, the vibe is all about calling people out on things. You can give them an opportunity, as she reaches out her hand here, right? And she says, oh my gosh, this isn't recording again. Okay, so she's reaching out her hand and she's saying, hey, I'm going to give you a chance to tell me the truth or to come clean. But if you lie to me, I've got this sword and I'm going to cut your dick off or your head off, or, whatever. And she wouldn't actually maybe cut them. Maybe she would. I hope not. I'm not advocating for that. I'm not a proponent for violence, but I'm saying the point is, put it out there so that it can be told to you what's going on, but you have a good bullshit detector. You're going to know the difference. Okay. So if you are in an it's complicated situation, whereas it's an on again, off again relationship, maybe it's not Facebook official, you don't know what to call it right now because you're just talking to each other or whatever. Here's what is up for you in March. And they're saying, you're not being selfish in this situation, so that's good. But you're not completely isolated and alone here either. The thing is that you should be more confident. You should have that little tiny bit of suspicion here as to what's going on with this person if you're in that situation, but you should largely be more confident than you are suspicious. Just a tiny little dose is all that's healthy in this situation, okay? Feel really confident about the direction that it's going because things are going to change in a positive way. Okay, old parts of the relationship that maybe didn't work for you are going to die. Things are going to change. The death card means change in a positive way in this instance. And it might not always feel positive before it occurs, but there is going to be a positive change here for you. So in those situations, if it ends, that just means something better is coming. Or if it just completely changes, the vibe here changes, it's actually for the better for you. Okay, now, where in your life do you need to push your luck to get ahead? So where do we use the law of attraction? What should we be focusing on? And they're like mindset shifting. So actually, it's like I get to choose what I believe. So that we don't get to control the thoughts that we have, but we get to choose the ones that we buy into. Okay? So maybe you want to make an affirmation that says, I will consciously choose to believe that I can have what I want, that I can achieve the goals that I set. Maybe I will affirm that I choose my mindset. Whatever it is that you've decided to change the way you think about to benefit you moving forward to get what you want, write that down in the comments below. Affirm it to the universe, because when we move from a mental place to actually putting it down on paper or writing it on the internet or whatever, then it becomes real, it becomes tangible. And the reason why writing is so important is because we have to spell out the words that we are trying to attract and manifest, right? And that's why they call it spelling, because it's like casting a spell. It makes it more real, it makes the universe know what to do, okay? Because when it's in our thoughts, we can sit there and argue about it and debate it, but now it's a real thing once we put it down in writing. So, what kind of warnings or rain will be hitting your life? So they're saying you might be feeling a little bit crazy, especially if you're in one of those situations like the couples were, where they're like, hey, here's an opportunity for you to come and give me the information that I'm asking, but I can sense the bullshit. So the challenge is to make sure that you focus on your own self-care, okay? If you don't focus on what it is that you truly need, if you give too much to others, if you put others ahead of you, or if you're just too busy, you should never be too busy to make time for yourself. Even 30 seconds of just deep breathing is self-care, okay? Making sure that you do that is going to be the most important thing so that you don't end up feeling like a crazy person. So what will the rainbow be after that? What is the reward of doing that self-care? And they're like, well, you might not get what you want 100%, but you'll at least be able to think about this time period as a positive one in the future. You'll be able to look back and have happy memories instead of negative ones, even though maybe it's not the outcome you were wishing for or hoping for, but then there's not this giant mountain of resentment. And so they're saying you'll be able to leave the past in the past and move forward without that fear of bad things always going to happen. So your mindset is super, super important this month. Believing that good things happen to me. Even if bad things have happened in the past, good things can happen in the future. And I think it was in the Capricorn video that I mentioned, our society has a lot of conflicting mindsets. We say history repeats itself about bad things, but then we also say the only constant is change. So you get to choose, what do you believe, okay? And so now we're gonna move on to the crystal of the month. What is your power crystal for the month?